Good day. Welcome to SOL 106, the Introduction to Community Organization. Study Session 1. The concept of community and organization. Introduction. In this study session, we will examine how community organization involves the collaboration of separate community or welfare agencies with or without the additional participation of statutory authorities in the promotion of joint initiative, learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Define and use correctly the terms in bold. Community organization. 2. Outline the features of community organization. 3. Discuss the types of community organization. Concept of community. In ordinary language, community is a popular word that is used in development circles in the humanity. Community is a basic operational unit or the activity center of mainly human services like community development, extension services, adult education, social welfare, and so on. It is a unit to which practitioners address themselves in order to be relevant in the provision of basic needs to the people under local conditions. However, our discussion must evolve from a good clarification of what community is all about. According to Ecklein, 1984, community is a geographical area where people cluster together and have things to do with one another than with people outside the cluster. B. Community is a legal entity or government in which people are governed by the same officials. C. Community is a set of attitudes, beliefs, loyalties by which people feel as part of such a group. D. Community is a collection of neighborhoods to which people can belong. E. Community is a network of voluntary association and special interest groups which allow people to join with like-minded people to promote special programs, solve certain problems, or meeting the needs for participation. F. Community as a social system. It is noteworthy that there has been no agreement among people who have attempted to define community. However, it is general practice to use the term community to denote an area of local life. Ian Woo, 1992, defined community as a group of people living in a given geographical environment, whether large or small, and united by community interest. Hence, the term community may be applied to a rural area, locality, city, town, state, or nation in which people share in common the basic conditions of life. Community organization. Community organization involves the collaboration of separate community or welfare agencies with or without the additional participation of statutory authorities in the promotion of joint initiatives. Community organization is at terms that is popularly employed in the social work community. However, scholars and practitioners have found difficulty in defining it. This is as a result of shifts in the area of focus and concern of community organization. In general, 4 major ideas are reflected in the various definitions offered for community organization. First, the idea of cooperation, collaboration, and integration. Second, the idea of meeting needs. Third, the idea that community organization deals with programs relationships as constructed with the direct service of group work. Fourth, the broad philosophical working relationship between the democratic process and specialism, Braga, 1973. According to Ross, 1955, community organization is a process by which a community identifies its needs, objectives, orders or ranks these needs of objectives, develops the confidence and will to work towards these needs or objectives, find the resources to deal with these needs, objectives, takes actions in respect of them, and in so doing extends and develops collaborative attitudes and practices in the community. Community organizations provide mutual strength and cohesion in which people decide for themselves what issues are important and thus systematically engage mega structures in an equal forum to pursue those issues. They help connect people to corporate power structures, governmental agencies, and teach people how to use the power of the community to make their common voices heard. Community organizations exist almost everywhere. Community organizations are mediating structures that stand with the individual and the neighborhood, between the neighborhood and organization megastructures and society as a whole. Features of community organization methods. This subsection will expose you to the features of community organization methods. It also explains different types of community organization, for example, locality development, local planning, and social action. The first feature is the maintenance of multiple relationships with individuals and groups, simultaneously and often independently of one another. The latter is important because individuals and groups may be fearful or hostile to one another and yet all be ready to get engaged in an activity to find a common solution to a common problem. The second feature is the use of professional judgment in timing the drawing into contract of these relationships after the worker has been able to resolve or modify the issues between them through an individual approach. The third feature is the skill involved in knowing where to take action on a project and when to let go of a project. The last feature to be mentioned, the one that permeates the whole process, is the skill in group thinking. Just as the interview is the primary tools for social casework, so the committee is the device in community organization work by which the worker initiates and furthers the larger area interaction. Types of community organizations. Adcaso et al. 1997 identified 3 distinct types of community organization. They are the following. Locality development. This typifies the method of work with community groups used by settlement houses and in colonial community development work. A major focus is on the process of community building. Working with broad representatives across sections of the community, workers attempt to achieve change objectives by enabling the community to establish consensus via the identification of common interests. Leadership development and education of the participants are important elements in the process. Local action. This is employed by groups and organizations which seek to alter institutional policies or to make changes in the distribution of power. Civil rights groups and social movements are examples. Both leadership and expertise may be challenged as the symbolic enemies of the people. Anyanwu, 1991. Social planning. This is a method of community organization traditional to health welfare councils. Although its scope and arena were enlarged in the 1960s to encompass city planners, urban renewal authorities, and so on. Efforts are focused primarily on task, goals, and issues of resources allocation. Initial emphasis of this approach was on the coordination of social services. Its attention has now expanded to include programs development and planning in all major social welfare institutions. Expertise is a cherished value, although leadership is accorded importance as well. Study session summary. In this study session, we examined the concept of community and community organization. We stated that community is a population group living within an identifiable geographical location, having some degree of social needs and interests. We also defined community organization as a process by which a community defines its needs or objectives, orders these objectives, develops the confidence and will to work towards these needs, find the resources to deal with these needs, take actions in respect of them, and in so doing extends and develops cooperation and conclusion in the community. Community organization is a term that is popularly employed in the social work community. This is the end of study session 1. Thank you for listening.